Okay, let's unpack this. Today we are diving deep into a whole stack of sources covering these large-scale Israeli strikes inside Iran. We've pulled reports detailing the targets, the impact on the ground, and the reactions, which were swift and frankly pretty divided across the board. Our mission here really is to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge to help you get a quick handle on the scope and the immediate implications of what's happened. It's quite a significant event. So, diving into the sources, what immediately jumps out is just the sheer scale of Israel's actions, according to their own reports. The Israeli military reported launching widespread attacks. We're talking over 200 Air Force fighter jets hitting more than 100 targets. And these weren't minor locations. They hit places across Iran like Tehran, the Pens, Tabriz, Isfahan, Iraq, Kermanshah, major centers. They've given it an operation name too, Rising Lion. And they stated its aim was a precise sort of preemptive strike based on intelligence, targeting Iranian military and nuclear sites explicitly to stop or at least hinder Tehran from developing nuclear weapons.
And what's really fascinating to get a bit deeper into those sources is who and what they specifically say was targeted and the impact claimed. Israel specifically claimed, and this is the good one, to have killed Iran's top 3 military commanders. That's Mohammad Bagheri, the chief of staff, Hossein Salami, who commands the IRGC, the Revolutionary Guard Corps, and Gholam Ali Rashid, another top commander. There was some initial confusion in reports about Bagheri, but later sources did seem to confirm his death. And it wasn't just military leaders. Iranian sources, including state media, also confirmed the deaths of 2 key nuclear scientists, Fareed Abbasi and Mohammad Mehdi Taranchi. So that focus on personnel, it feels quite deliberate. Then there's the impact on the ground. Sources like Tasnim reported civilian casualties, women, children injured in residential areas hit in northern Tehran. They mentioned 50 transferred to hospital. And crucially, the IAEA, the UN's nuclear watchdog, they confirmed that the Natanz nuclear facility was among the targets. That's significant. We also saw reports of damage to residential buildings and military complexes, especially around Tehran.
Yeah, that detail about targeting Natanz, confirmed by the IAEA, plus the reported elimination of top commanders and scientists, that really does suggest something different might be happening here compared to past incidents. So let's look at the context then, and the reactions. How did Iran and the world respond to this? Because the scale seems unprecedented.
Exactly. The scale and the specific targets are key to understanding the reaction. Al Jazeera analysis, for instance, really highlights this. They point out this attack goes way beyond those tit-for-tat exchanges we saw earlier in 2024, which themselves were already in escalation, breaking a kind of psychological barrier. This latest round, it's described as a surprise attack, not just a quick in-and-out strike. Reports suggest it happened over multiple waves. Analysts are reading this layered approach, hitting ballistic missile sites, nuclear programs, and command structures, as a clear attempt to really dismantle Iran's capabilities. Sort of like hitting the brain and the nerves. Now, Iran's official reaction, immediate and forceful. The supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, used very strong words, vowing severe punishment, a bitter and painful fate for Israel. The military spokesperson echoed that, promising a heavy price. You hear about high-level meetings happening. Retaliation is widely expected. As one analysis put it, it's seen as not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
And that strong reaction from Iran is mirrored by some pretty intense international responses too, right? Based on what we're seeing in the sources.
Absolutely. Internationally, you've got condemnations coming in from places like Oman and Saudi Arabia. They're calling the strikes violations of international law, a reckless escalation, even calling for intervention. The UN Secretary General also condemned it, urged maximum restraint, and specifically voiced concern about those nuclear sites being targeted. The U.S. position, well, it looks a bit complex in these reports. Secretary of State Rubio stated publicly the U.S. wasn't involved, that it was a unilateral Israeli action for self-defense. But, analysts both in Iran and the U.S. are pointing to things like embassy staff relocations. Other signals may be suggesting potential U.S. awareness, maybe even some coordination. It's debated. And within U.S. politics itself, a real split. Some lawmakers strongly back Israel's right to self-defense. Others are sharply critical, calling it reckless, worrying it could sabotage diplomacy, especially those nuclear talks that were supposedly happening in Oman. Those look pretty uncertain now. Advocacy groups, too, chiming in, condemning the strikes as unlawful.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you trying to make sense of these developments? This deep dive, it really shows a dramatic escalation. It seems to surpass previous clashes in scale and surprise. We've seen the reported impacts, civilian casualties, key figures targeted. We've heard Israel's stated goals, Iran's very clear vows of revenge, and these divided international reactions, they cast a long shadow over any diplomatic path forward.
Which brings us to the final thought, something for you to really consider based on everything we've just laid out from the sources. Given the intensity of this attack, the reported deaths of commanders, scientists, civilians, Iran's strong promise of reprisal, and this lack of a clear, unified international response, what are the most likely paths forward from here? Could this lead somehow towards stability, or perhaps more likely, does this point towards even greater regional instability?